Jim Estel and his family have been Kentucky farmers for 3 generations. As a man hard on his body and his hands, he hadn't noticed that they were trying to talk to him. Neither had his wife, Jo. Jim knew that he had gained weight. He could no longer put on his wedding ring, but he simply put it down to age.
About 20 years ago, my fingers started growing, as did my belly and my neck and everything else. So we'd had the ring resized. And I work with my hands. My hands are calloused, and the older you get, the longer you work with them, the thicker and the bigger they're going to be. I didn't think anything abnormal about other than the fact I was just getting older.
Then Jim's hand delivered a message that saved his life. Late last year, his wife was supposed to take his father to a regular doctor's appointment. At the last minute, she couldn't make it, so Jim went instead. And that turned out to be a very good thing.
I'd never met the guy. He stood up, shook my hand, introduced himself. He just kind of hung on to the hand, and there was an immediate reaction on his part.
Well, look who's here. Hi, Jim. Good to see you, my friend.
As soon as he looked at Jim's hands, Dr. Becknell knew something was wrong.
You know, Jim, when I shook your hand, it struck me how big your hand was, and I said, your hand is as big as a country ham. And that's when I started asking you questions about the change in your shoe size. And that's when it led from one thing to another. Well, since the handshake was the key to the diagnosis, maybe we can take a
Sure.
closer look at your hands.
Yes, sir.
The doctor suspected that Jim had a tumor on the pituitary gland at the base of his brain. It was pumping out a growth hormone, causing a condition called acromegaly.
He just told me, he said, buddy, I think you got acromegaly. You need to get tended to. He went and got a fellow physician, another dermatologist, and brought him in and made him stand there till he come up with something. He said, well, he could have a little acromegaly. He said, I'm telling you, I know that. That's what I'm saying.
As you can see here on the first MRI scan we have of Jim, this region right here represents his pituitary tumor that was responsible for his acromegaly. This bright white structure here is his pituitary gland, which is much larger than it should be, and his type of tumor had the ability to secrete more growth hormone, which would result in larger hands, larger features.
The tumor was removed, and luckily for Jim, it was benign. Acromegaly is extremely rare. Jim's lucky break that day was a chance meeting with a doctor who was astute enough to regard a patient's hands as a path to diagnosis.